All right, let's check in with Jake right now. Jake, what are you up to, pal?
Hey guys, you know, there aren't a lot of companies in Chicago that can brag about a century-old history. This one can. We're taking you inside the Chicago Clock Company, and it is gorgeous. We'll be right back.
All right, if we could all turn back time. 7:54, it's a company in Chicago that's been keeping time for nearly a century.
Chicago Clock Company getting ready for a big 100th birthday. And this morning, Jacobs is there. He's in Clarendon Hills. Jake.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, a lot of companies in Chicago are happy if they can survive 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. But imagine surviving, and not just surviving, but thriving for a century in Chicago. That's what the Clock Company is celebrating this year. I'm here with Jason, who is the president, but not just the president. You have an amazing connection to this place that ties into that centennial celebration. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the company started with my great-grandfather, and he did door-to-door clock repair service, and then worked out of his home. And through my grandfather, my father, and myself, we've brought it into several locations.
Now, I would imagine that the business has changed a lot since your great-grandfather obviously was going door-to-door. What have been some of the milestones over the course of 100 years? How have you guys sort of evolved with, you know, the evolution of the company?
Well, it started out as just a service business, and as time went on, we brought in the retail end of it, and going further on is now the internet and online sales.
Well, the products that you guys have here, the clocks, the grandfather clocks, the swinging pendulums, are absolutely gorgeous. You have a lot of sort of things that are a testament to today and the things that were testament to yesterday. If people want to come out and check out some of these beautiful pieces, and obviously we're going to look at them more as we progress throughout the show, where can people find you guys?
Well, we have 4 locations. We have Palatine, Orland Park, Clarendon Hills, and we are in Water Tower Place.
And are you guys doing anything special to celebrate that 100 years? I mean, that's a big deal for any company in any city, really.
Absolutely. We're really excited. Yeah, starting on the 15th this month through the 18th, we're going to have celebrations at each of the stores.
Fantastic. We're going to catch up again. There's a lot more to see here. What you have out here is beautiful, and congratulations on 100 years, my friend. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we're going to be live out here again in the 8 o'clock and the 9 o'clock hour. We've shown you just a little bit, but I only had 2 minutes for the segment, and I have no excuse to run late because there's a clock at every corner of this place. But for now, we're going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
Alrighty.
You know, that's why most clocks, they show at 10 and 2, because it's a good way to just show the design of the clock face with the numbers that way.
10 and 2.
10 and 2. Same
There
as
you
the
go.
driving. There you go.
All right, thank you, Jake.
Coming up, it's a local company that's been around for a century, and they're just getting started. We're taking you inside the Chicago Clock Company when we come back.
It's 8:55. It's a company in Chicago that's been watching the clock for nearly a century. Jake Hamilton is live at the Chicago Clock Company. And Jake, they're planning TikTok, a big celebration for this major milestone, correct?
That's right, a very deserved celebration because they've been around for a century. The Chicago Clock Company. We're taking you behind the scenes now. I'm here with my man Brian. Brian, in the last hour, we talked about over 100 years, how much the business has changed. But when we look at the mechanics of the clock, a lot of aspects of this world hasn't changed over the course of a century.
That's so true. This is an antique clock. It's quite old. I'm in the process of winding these right now. This is a test stand. We have 6 of these. We test them all the time. But this has 3 weights. If you were to notice, I don't know if you can hand down and see. Let me get maybe I can wind the last one.
And the reason we're showing this is because you guys do a lot of repairs as well. You're not just selling these things.
These are all repairs. These are all repairs. This is an old one. Here's a modern one, but you'll see it still has 3 weights. They do the same thing, but just in a different way. They all keep time, and they all chime, and they strike on the hour.
Now, obviously, this got started back in 1917. Are you guys still repairing these clocks today?
Absolutely.
Back the same way you were in 1970, the same way?
The same way. And a lot of the older ones, you can't get parts. We have to, you know, manufacture our own parts.
And is there an art to it? Because I'm looking at all of these pieces, and when you strip it apart, it's almost as beautiful to look at, you know, for lack of a better word, naked, than it is, you know, all sort of, you know, put back together.
Yeah, well, if you notice on this one, well, I know you're feeling over that way, but the face is off of this clock. I'm testing it like that in case I need to make adjustments on the front plate of the clock. Here's another one with the dial off. Here, you can see this one.
It really is.
We'll run
It's a
them,
beautiful
and
art.
Put the face back on and run them. We run these for 4 to 6 weeks before they're brought back out.
It's fantastic. Well, that's a very small amount of time when you consider 100 years of existence.
Right.
So well done. All right, guys, we're going to be back out here again in the 9 o'clock hour. Chicago Clock Company, been around for a century, celebrating a century this year. Began back in 1917. A lot of things have changed, but as you can see just with these, a lot of things haven't changed. So I'm Jake Hamilton out here, Chicago Clock Company. Brian, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much.
For now, we are going to toss it somewhere. I don't know. We're going to toss it either to break or to the anchors, but for now, we're going to toss it back to you guys.
All right, we'll take it from here, Jake. Thank you. All right, coming up here on Good Day Chicago, what started out as a simple door-to-door operation in the early 1900s has grown into one of the most recognized companies in the world.
Jake Hamilton is checking out the Chicago Clock Company this morning, and it is celebrating a very special anniversary. Take it away, Jake.
That's right, guys. Coming up, when you've been around for a century, nothing is what it seems. We are live out here at the Chicago Clock Company celebrating 100 years. We'll be right back. Keep watching Good Day Chicago.
Chicago is home to a lot of amazing companies, but not many of them can say that they've been in business for 100 years.
And they keep going around and around and around. That's exactly what's happening at the Chicago Clock Company out in Clarendon Hills. Jake Hamilton has been hanging out there all morning long. And Jake, time stood still out there, right?
You know, it's moved on 100 years, and they know it's been exactly 100 years because there are clocks all over the place. A century of history, Chicago Clock Company. Back here with Jason. Jason, your great-grandfather started this 1917. Looking at the place today, it's both changed and not changed. The business both moved on, but then to a certain very cool degree also stayed the same.
Absolutely. You know, we've gone from door-to-door clock repair to bringing the retail end of it, and now the e-commerce part of it. So, yeah, we're moving right on.
You guys gave us the great opportunity in the last hour to sort of go behind the scenes and see sort of the inside of the workings. And it's sort of comforting to see that so many of these clocks in the day and age of Apple Watches still get sort of tuned and fixed in the same way that maybe your great-grandfather would have done 100 years ago. That's going to be comforting, I'd imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's one thing that continues to always be the same. And being a mechanical clock, it always runs whether the power's on or not.
Now, over the course of 100 years, you guys have established a lot of goodwill in this city, so much so that whenever an amazing historical clock is found and needs a little, fine-tuning, you're the person that they call.
Absolutely.
What was an example of one recently that you got a call for?
We just had one recently that the clock was in the Chicago fire.
Wow.
And the family members actually knew the fire was going to come and destroy their home, so they buried the clock.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of work did you guys have to do on that?
Well, after they unburied it, it ran for several years, and then, unfortunately, about 30 years ago, somebody knocked it off the mantle, and it was in pieces and in a box for all those years until they brought it into us this year.
And now, how does it look?
Oh, it looks fantastic.
Fantastic. I have no doubt. All right, my friend, 100 years, absolutely worth celebrating. What's something that you guys are doing, and where can people find more information?
Well, they can find it. We're going to be doing a celebration from the 18th or the 15th through the 18th at all of our locations, and then our website as well.
Fantastic. And what's the website?
www.chicagoclock.com.
Beautiful, my friend. All right, congratulations on 100 years, guys. Thank you so much. Not a lot of places, guys, can say 100 years in Chicago, and just no matter how much time has passed, there is always room for the swinging hips Elvis clock. I love that. That's the one that stands out to me here. All right, guys, on that note, we're live out here, Chicago Clock Company. Going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
And that is a tongue twister. Thank you so much, Jake. Say it again. It's
Chicago Clock Company in Clarendon
Hills. Okay?